Right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the AI Spotlight Show with the AI Brains. Today on the show with me, I have Ayush Sharma, co founder of Aura ML. And welcome to the show, Ayush. Thanks for agreeing to do this.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me here. I'm sure it will be a great conversation. So I'm equally excited to be here.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So am I. We'll start off by asking tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, your background, educational background, and what prompted you into building startup.
Yeah, definitely. So I come from a small town called Nagpur in Maharashtra and did my schooling from here.
Hmm.
And after that, I went to Kota to do like the whole IIT thing. Didn't work out.
Okay.
Didn't manage to get into any of the IITs.
Hmm.
And then did my engineering again from Nagpur. During my engineering, I mean, I had always been interested in like a lot of tinkering, like Olympiads and stuff, and also
Hmm.
that was always there. And during my like 11th and 12th grade, I finally got into like tinkering around with like electronic kits. So there was like this clap
Okay.
switch and like simple stuff, but it was like that like very fascinated me a lot.
Right.
So it started from there, and during my college, I eventually found the robotics group, and
Hmm.
we ended up competing during my first year, second year in like the races that they have, the line follower races, the grid solvers, and all
Hmm.
of that. And that like really fascinated me into this whole robotics and like AI side of things. And during my like course as well, we had like courses, and I was lucky at that time that Coursera and all of these like open courseware had started coming out, so I could take the full advantage of that. There were like some really amazing courses that I managed to do, and that is what like really fascinated me about all of this. And during my undergrad, I also managed to secure an internship at the robotics lab at IIIT Hyderabad, and that was like the first real tryst with like research and robotics. Because before that, I was just doing projects at my home and like whatever parts I can find around and build something. This was like my first time being into a proper lab with people who know much more than me. So there it was an amazing experience. The professors were amazing, and I just loved the atmosphere where everybody was trying to build something innovative, and that also prompted me to like try and. So I also realized that I don't know anything at all about robotics, and whatever I learned was like very basic. And to get more knowledge, and probably need to do a master's or a PhD. So I started preparing for that, gave my GREs and all, got decent scores, got admitted to Northwestern University, and that changed my life. So moving from like coming from like the small town, going to IIIT Hyderabad, and then suddenly landing in this like great university. The atmosphere there was like electric. It was totally different. Everything that you could imagine as a like young guy wanting to get into the robotics, it was there. The latest robotic arms, laser cutters, water jet cutters, anything. And even if something was not there, we had a rule there that every week they would send out like a shopping list essentially, and anything below $10,000 we could just add to that list and it would appear in the lab in a week. So the only limitation there was your own mind and the dedication that you can put in. Totally opposite from what I saw in India, where we were typically very resource constrained. So that gave me like a lot of exposure into different things. And the other great thing about Northwestern was there was this space called the garage over there. That was their startup incubation center, and they had a policy there that anybody with like a half decent idea could go there, and they would just straight away give you a $10,000 grant to get you started. So all you needed was you had to be a Northwestern student, and you had to have like some idea of what you want to build. So I had a few seniors who were building like some drone startups and all, and I just like started hanging out with them, helping out in their startups, and that got like me really interested into all of this because uh, there are like some amazing companies that have come out of there. So I mean, there was like one particular guy, I think he's still there. Hi, Mark, if you are listening to this. So Mark Gyongosi, he was like the most brilliant guy I've seen. He was just a second year undergrad student, and he was publishing research papers and founding a company and doing all of these amazing things. So being in that atmosphere somehow lit that spark in me. But at the same time, I also realized that I don't have all the skills needed to be like a successful founder. And I thought the best way to get those skills would be to join another early stage deep tech startup and learn from the inside. So with that thought in mind, I came back to India. I joined a company called Ajna Lens, and we were building augmented reality headsets. And I was working on the computer vision side of things. So throughout my career, I've been working on a lot of like robot intelligence, path planning, computer vision, those kind of problems. So I was like very interested in making the robots see and perceive the world around them and making them smarter essentially. So that is what motivated me. And this seemed like a very good challenge because I've been working with a lot of like simultaneous localization and mapping problems and those kind of things. So we did the same thing for the AR headset. I built like the SLAM algorithms, and then we did hand gesture recognition. And this was like way back. So this was like 2017, 2018. So yeah, so and I joined the company. I was the sixth employee. We didn't even have like a proper prototype at that point, and by the time I had left, we had like built the first headset and sold to the first customer. So that was like a very interesting journey to be a part of. And then after that, I did the same thing. I joined like a few more startups of varying sizes, Raputa Robotics, where I did warehouse robots. Then I joined high tech robotics in India, where I did self driving cars for a while. Then I moved to Saga Robotics to do agriculture robots. But the common denominator everywhere was that I was working on either like robot navigation or like or using computer vision in some way to solve the problems. And along the way, I also saw the distance, I also saw the change from like classical computer vision to deep learning, because when I started, everything was classical. We were doing like canny edge detection and like simple stuff, but then deep learning came and changed everything. So, uh, but it brought it with itself its own set of problems, and one of the biggest one was data collection and labeling. So every project, the best thing would be like training the models, and the worst thing would be like data collection and labeling. Like we would spend months and months going into the field with our robots, just collecting like data in different scenarios, night, day, cold, rain, any condition. We engineers had to go out and collect data. And once we had collected the data, then we had to like sit down and label each and every object in each and every image. At Saga Robotics, we also tried to like outsource it, but didn't work very well because first of all, we needed to train the labelers to understand what they were labeling. So we were trying to label like which strawberries were ripe enough to be picked by the picking arm. So nobody would understand what like a ripe and good quality strawberries unless you tell them. So all of this like frustration I had, and I was like, yeah, I don't want to. We had spent like a really long amount of time just collecting data and labeling, and I was like, this is not why I did like so much study and all of this just to be like labeling and collecting data. So I thought this is a problem that needs solving. And fortunately, at that time, I was attending a research conference where some papers were published that showcase that synthetically generated data can also be used to train models. And I was like, yeah, damn, this is it. And by the time I also felt like, okay, now I have enough experience and I have a good problem statement that I can build a successful company around. So I quit my job in the UK, came back to India, and yeah, started AuraML. So this is the brief journey. I think you are muted.
Right. I think I mean that's just an amazing journey, starting from uh, you know small do-it-yourself kits to learning robotics to going half the way around the globe, finding amazing folks and colleagues, and then getting back to India to building this vision startup. Uh, can you talk to us a little bit about? You told us specifically why you built Aura ML. The labeling part is very difficult. So tell us a little bit about your journey after you moved from the UK to India, the 0 to 1 journey of AuraML. How did you meet your other co-founders? What's the story there?
Yeah, so when I came back to India, I just had this idea that okay, somehow synthetic data is going to change the world, and I want to be at the center of it. And
Hmm.
this is like a very useful thing that will help a lot of people. But I had no idea how to build a
Right.
company. Yeah,
Hmm.
I had some idea, but not a lot. So, but luckily I had like good people around
Hmm.
me. And I had like the old folks who I had worked with earlier, so I could reach out to the founders and ask them, okay, this is something that I'm trying to build. So for the first like 6 months or so, that's all I did. I reached out to folks, asked them, okay, this is what I'm trying to build. Is this even
Right.
valuable? Will you pay for this?
Hmm.
Like, will it even work? So once I had the idea, and simultaneously also the very arduous process of finding a co-founder. So
Right.
because I was like at the time I had like a lot of friends, but everybody had like different things in life. Some were getting married, some had like
Right.
something, and nobody wanted
Yeah.
to like commit full time. So the
Right.
usual struggle. And around that time, Antler announced his
Hmm.
like maiden residency program in
Hmm.
India. So I ended up applying to it, got selected. So this was in like June 2021
Okay.
when I joined Antler, and that's where I met my co-founder. So
Nice.
I love the program that they have in India.
Hmm.
If not for like, so they also invest in you if they like, but that is secondary. I think the main thing is like
Right.
the cohort of people. So the way that model works is that they take 60, 70 people
Hmm.
who are fully committed to starting a company. So they only have two requirements. One is that you have to come in person for 3 months there.
Right.
And the second, I think they've moved to fully remote now. I don't know
Hmm.
what's the current scenario, but at that time it was that you have to go in person there. And the
Right.
second one is you have to quit your job and you have to be full time there.
Right.
So those were the two requirements. And that is where I met my co-founder. So
Hmm.
Arjun, he's the CTO of the company, amazing
Okay.
guy.
Hmm.
He has a similar background as well. He used to work for a company called Joe Stocks before like
Oh,
joining
yes.
with me.
Hmm.
So he had like also he was like one of the earliest employees to join them,
Hmm.
and he was leading like a technical team of over 40 people, and he had been through the journey of like building something from scratch to over like
Right.
3 million daily active users. And
Hmm.
he also had that unique background of like cloud plus AI. So I
Right.
mean, I had like the AI background, but I had no idea how to build like a scalable cloud platform.
Hmm.
He had built a scalable cloud platform and also knew about AI. So and we also aligned very well on like a lot of
Hmm.
things that make a company successful. So we both decided to give it a shot,
Okay.
and we got together and yeah, built the company.
Nice. And it took you how many months to go from that ideation to launch, to the fully born
About a
product?
year, about
About
a
a
year,
year.
I would
Wow.
say.
Okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
right. And looking back into that 1 year, the journey of 1 year, what were some mistakes you did, if you want to share, that had you realized earlier would have like expedited uh, your production time faster?
Uh, I mean, there were, I mean, I wouldn't say that it would have expedited the time faster, but maybe
Hmm.
I could have developed because the problem is a difficult one. So it's not
Hmm.
something that you can build in a few months and just put it out. So there are like some things that are still in research phase. So the product
Right.
is still in development, right? So
Right.
we have like an early version out, but
Hmm.
it's not like the final version that we have in mind. But
Got it.
anyway, some of the mistakes that we made early on was
Hmm.
so we spoke to like some folks and they indicated that okay they would love to work with us and all, and we just took that to be that okay, yeah, fine, we'll have customers as
Right.
soon as we launch. But doesn't happen. Like saying yes and actually signing a contract
Signing a
is like
contract are
a
two different worlds.
completely different. And I also didn't realize like early on the like because I was a first time founder, so
Hmm.
made a lot of mistakes in like some of the early deals that I did. I was not like aggressive enough maybe,
Okay.
so that like so some terms like made it into the term
Hmm.
sheet, and also like the some of the early contracts that we did that I could have probably negotiated better. So
Got it.
that like slowed us down a bit, but you learn. That is like the only way to learn
Right.
these things is to do them.
Amazing. So it's getting the deals quicker, or like learning to negotiate, and those go-to-market
Yeah, yeah,
skills that would have
yeah,
been much
yeah.
helpful. Awesome. Can you talk to us one use case of AuraML that AuraML has solved, the benefit of using AuraML, so that everyone can understand what exactly you folks are trying to do and a solid use case to back up your claim?
Yeah, so before I do that, I'll like briefly tell about the product and what we actually do.
Hmm.
So we help companies building computer vision models get like easy access to synthetically generated data. We use a combination of 3D graphics and generative AI to generate this data. So what we essentially do is we have a cloud platform where the users can recreate their real world environment digitally, and
Hmm.
then place virtual cameras, like tweak the randomization parameters, and generate whatever data that they want. So let's
Right.
take an example use case that we are working with the customers. So there's like so they are a company that manufactures robotic arm solutions
Hmm.
for packet sorting in logistics facilities. So for companies like Flipkart and Amazon, they have robots that have like a camera facing down on the conveyor,
Right.
and they can detect the parcels and sort them in the appropriate bins.
Hmm.
So there the challenge is that you have like so many different types of parcels, and then
Right.
during Diwali you have like special Diwali packaging on the parcels,
Right.
or like sometimes the parcels are occluded, or you might have like hundreds of parcels like
Hmm.
all clumped together. So labeling, like segmentation, and especially the task here was to like semantically segment all of those.
Right.
So labeling those is like a huge challenge.
Hmm.
So the way we solve it is that our customers can create like a basically a conveyor that looks
Hmm.
exactly like their conveyor, and we have like a fully like physics simulation, you could say.
Okay.
So you can essentially like drop packets and they would like just randomly bounce around, and even like the deformable bodies and all, they would act like, so if it's like a plastic packet versus like a cardboard box, they all
Hmm.
behave like they would in the real world. So the user has the full control. They can change like the lighting, they can change
Right.
the camera angle, they can set the camera parameters exactly to match their real world camera, and they can generate like hundreds of thousands of images, and all the images are perfectly labeled. So this is how the
Got it.
customers use our platform right now. Yeah.
Amazing. And how is it different from a convenient way of doing it, and what is the ROI of using ROML? Like, how much time does it save, or does it improve the accuracy of packing or accuracy of sorting things, which in turn translates into so much hours or man hours or full-time equivalent of employees employed to do that? A little bit on that.
Yeah, so we've saved like, so typically to I mean, this is more true for the customers in the US and European markets, but
Hmm.
to label images, you have to pay anywhere from like $1 to like $3 per
Oh wow.
image.
Okay. Hmm.
Yeah, because they charge you per label in the
Okay.
so it depends. If there's like a lot of labels,
Hmm.
you'll end up paying like $3, or if it's like a less amount of, you'll pay around somewhere around like $1
Right.
per image. So if it's like 100,000 image data set, you can imagine like the costs.
Correct.
And then there is a time itself. So usually it takes like at least like a month to from like getting the data to getting it fully labeled.
Hmm.
So with RML, you can do it in like a few hours. So
Right.
for like 10 hours, like probably in 10 hours, you can generate 100,000 images fully
Wow.
labeled. And
That's awesome.
you don't have to sit and do anything. You can just,
Hmm.
so you just, it takes you about 10-15 minutes to set up the environment, enter all the
Hmm.
parameters, all the randomizations that you would want, click generate, and then you can grab a coffee, do whatever, and in 10 hours you'll have your data set ready. So it
Amazing.
saves like a lot of time, lot of money. And the other thing is you can do things that you wouldn't be able to in the real world. So
Hmm.
like for example, one of our customers, they are working with the city government for
Okay.
installing CCTV cameras, and they have like an AI layer to do safety monitoring, so that whether people are carrying weapons or things like that. So you don't get any data of like people actually walking around the streets with weapons and all of that. So for
Right.
them, there was like literally no way to get that data. So
Right.
synthetic data is the only way. So there it helps a lot. And
Hmm.
then there's like edge cases as well. So in the
Hmm.
real world, you cannot go into the warehouse and like change the light bulb or like
Yes.
change the temperature. And also here you can do all of that. You
The
can change the
simulation. Yeah.
parcels. Yeah, you can. So because it's a simulation, you can
Right.
break things. You can simulate car accidents. You can like
Right.
expensive stuff that would be very impossible to do in the real world. So that's the real ROI.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Ayush, for sharing that. Let's switch gears. Talk to us a little bit about what do you see are common uh, mistakes that people do when they are trying to get into your own domain, like machine learning or deep learning. What are some common mistakes or paths to avoid for founders building on the same space as yours? Not essentially the same
Uh,
space, but into machine learning, etc.
no, I get the question. So one thing would be to like overpromise. That's like
Hmm.
one pitfall I've seen like founders do a lot. Is that they overpromise the capabilities, and it hurts everybody in the ecosystem, not just them, because
Hmm.
you build like a fake demo, you show people are like very excited, and it
Correct.
hurts like everybody in the ecosystem. So I would like suggest everybody, please don't do that.
Right.
And the other thing is like uh, so it's very difficult to hire like good talent, I would
Hmm.
say. So
Right.
that's another like a pitfall to avoid, because people say a lot of things. So there's like two things. One is where you've taken a model and like that was readily available, and you have just like
Hmm.
make it work, rather than like training something of your own or actually understanding how it works.
Right.
So like try to get a deeper understanding of how things work, rather than just like the surface level, because uh, a lot of like the folks who don't come from the AI background but want to start these companies make these kind of mistakes, because they've
Hmm.
not been in the trenches, they've not seen what really works.
Right.
So yeah, so maybe like have somebody in your team who has a very deep understanding of
Of the
the
tech.
problem you're trying to solve. Yeah.
Great, great. I think that's those are two important things as well. Don't fake your demo or what you want to show.
No,
And
no, I mean, it's okay. Like, it's okay to fake like maybe 10%. So you know
right,
that maybe like you're working on it right now, and in a month it will
yes,
be ready. So maybe you can showcase that, okay, in a month it will look like this, but
yes,
don't showcase something that you have no idea of how you would even do it.
right.
So
Got
yeah,
it. Yeah,
yeah, it's a
that's a
fine
great
balance. It's a
advice.
fine balance. Yeah.
That's a great advice. And one last question, Ayush, is that what is your constant source of inspiration? So that's something that I ask founders all the time. How do you, what keeps you motivated all the time, which lets you go back to the next day with the same level of energy and keep building, despite all the many challenges that any founder would have to go through? What's your source of inspiration?
Yeah, I think you have to believe that you're doing something really important because,
Hmm.
and you have to believe that it's something bigger than like the just immediate thing that you're doing. So,
Hmm.
what I think about is like, so this is like a real thing actually. So, every day we give the data, we're contributing to so many different places. So,
Hmm.
one example is like we're working with a large agri-tech company where they're trying to solve the insect biodiversity problem, particularly with
Hmm.
bees. And so,
Wow. Okay.
even though we are not directly, so because bee populations are dying across the globe.
Correct. And it's going to
So yeah,
impact food
so
production directly.
exactly. So they are trying to solve that problem using
Hmm.
computer vision, and so we are helping them. So like strong belief in the mission, right? Because I'm
Hmm.
not doing this because like it's I want to earn a lot of money. Obviously, that's the thing.
Right.
But
Yeah.
the main thing is you have to be mission driven. You have to believe, and you have to believe that whatever you're doing is very important, more important than whatever else you would be doing. So
Right.
that has to be the thing that there is nothing else in the world that matters more than what you're doing because this is going to change the world and this is going to help
Hmm.
people. At least that's what motivates me to get up every day and do it because I know if this company succeeds, that this means that a lot of
Right.
other AI applications will come through that will change the lives of people for the better. So that is
Amazing.
what motivates me.
Awesome. Awesome. That's just beautiful. One final, I said, I know I said the previous question was the last one, but one last question again. What's your advice for people raising capital when they are building a deep tech startup? What's the most expensive part about building an AI startup? And how do you manage it while you get your paying customers?
Yeah, so fundraising is quite tricky at the moment.
Hmm.
I mean, 2 years ago it was very easy, but suddenly the
Yeah,
market conditions have
the
changed.
landscape's not great.
Yeah, so first is like be one of the few lucky people who are repeat founders or have like good connections to VCs. Then it becomes
Right.
very easy to raise funds. But if you're like me, who's like a first-time founder,
Hmm.
what works is that you need to have like a very strong product, like something that you don't even need to sell. Uh, your problem statement that you're solving has to be high ROI driven. So
Right.
even if you have like something that doesn't really work, there are people out there who will just buy even like the basic version just because it solves like a very pressing need for them.
Right.
So as long as you have that, I don't think like raising funding would be a big challenge because
Hmm.
people will pay. So like the biggest thing is like find out if people pay for your product. So as
Right.
long as that is true, I don't think you will have a problem raising funding. And also try to get some revenue, try to get some early revenue before
Yes.
you approach investors because in the
Hmm.
current climate, nobody's going to fund just a PowerPoint. So
Got it.
get some traction and yeah, and save some money. Like save some money,
Right.
have some like a runway so that you don't run out because this is a long game. And ultimately, it's who is alive on the field at the end because they are the ones who succeed. So you just have to outlive the other people.
Right.
That's
Right.
the only thing.
Right. And what is like, what's your experience getting your first customer was like? If you can share your first closure or customer in a very short snapshot journey, that will be
Yeah,
helpful.
I mean, this, I don't think if it's like a typical story, but our first customer actually approached us.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah,
Right.
yeah. So this was like back when we had just launched our platform. And
Hmm.
so that's the one thing, build in public, like showcase the amazing things that you're doing
Yes.
because people love to see, especially because when you can, when there's like a hype around Gen AI right now, there are
Hmm.
people are like very tuned into the field. Anything that you showcase grabs eyeballs. So that's what we
Yes.
did as we were building our product. We
Hmm.
still do it. We put out on LinkedIn. Okay, see this. These are the amazing results we have. And so the CEO of the company actually reached out to us saying that
Hmm.
I saw what you're doing, and yeah, even we have been facing a lot of issues with data collection and labeling, and we would love to work with you. So that's how we got our
Right.
first customer actually. So
Amazing.
might not be the typical story, but that's how we
Yes.
got it.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Ayush, for sharing all this information at a very nice pace and also in a very succinct manner. This is super helpful. What we'll try to do is if there is a product demo or a promo video of Aura ML, we'll embed it towards the end of this meeting. And for those of us who are watching, if you're on the manufacturing or on the packaging industry, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong if those are not your target markets. If you're on the
No,
manufacturing,
we are like actually pretty agnostic. So
right?
we can cover like a very wide range of use cases. So for example, we're working with, like you said, manufacturing, logistics,
Hmm.
inspection,
Hmm.
agri-tech. Like I mentioned, we have worked
Right.
with some agri-tech people, and like self-driving cars and all of these use cases. So yeah, we cover like a very wide range of use cases. So any computer vision, if you have like issues that with data collection and labeling, please feel free to reach out.
Awesome. You heard the gentleman. So everyone, please feel free to reach out to Ayush if there is a use case that you'd like to explore with Aura ML. So thank you again, Ayush, for joining the show. We'll talk to you soon on another episode with more detailed contextual conversation at the tech side with more experts. And wishing you and the team at Aura a very happy Diwali and everyone else a happy Diwali also. And we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, happy Diwali to you and all the people watching. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ayush. See you then. Bye.
Bye bye.